In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast. I am Amit. That is K. K. How are you doing today, sir?
Tired. Got my Red Bull.
Cool. Got my coffee. Brought to you by District Divided.
Right. Yeah, see, you got the branding. We don't have the Red Bull deal. I don't even like Red Bull in Formula One. Yeah, fuck this company.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, what are you even doing? Oh, we got Silverstone this weekend. Yeah,
I'm gonna be busy. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to watch it.
Okay. Well, I won't text you until later in the evening, stuff like that. But anyway, this is a DC sports podcast. One of the first words I even said over here, one of the first phrases, and we've got a lot to talk about, K-Dot. Normally in the middle of the summer, you don't have a whole lot to talk about, but we've got two main topics for you guys. So Terry McLaurin finally signs a contract extension with the Washington Commanders. Great news for us. Bradley Beal signs a contract extension, and for 6 hours, it was the largest contract in NBA history until Nikola Jokic signed his with the Denver Nuggets. So we're going to get into that as well. Congratulations to both Terry and Brad. That is generational wealth that you both have just achieved. Well done. Congrats to you both. And we're going to talk more about it from the fan perspective. And then we get into the comment mailbag as we always do. And then stick around after the pod where we talk about sports or not sports, or we don't know. We honestly don't know. It's just based on the energy of the episode. K-Dot, why don't we begin with Terry McLaurin? Okay. So Washington Commanders signed wide receiver Terry McLaurin to a 3-year, $71 million deal. He also got the highest signing bonus in NFL history for wide receivers, beating DeAndre Hopkins by $500,000. Congratulations, Terry. 28 million to 27.5. Most of the contract is guaranteed completely. I think it's about 55 million that's guaranteed.
154.
There you go. Thank you very much. Out of the 71. So K-Dot, first question, what are your thoughts on this deal from both the Commander's perspective as well as the Terry perspective?
Okay. Commander's perspective, fans, front office.
Yeah.
Holy shit, we got it done. We finally did it. All right. From Terry's perspective, I mean, if I was Terry, I'd be trying to hit the strip club today and get some chicken wings. But he seems like a much more stand-up guy than me. So I'm going to say he's just, as he said in the heartfelt letter, he's just appreciative, and this changes things for him. Congratulations. This is the big check time. You got the big check. Well earned, well deserved, sir. Yeah, from a fan perspective, it's just like, holy shit, thank you for one of the only times this offseason we can unequivocally say thank you, because there's still a lot of you that are not Carson Wentz guys. You that don't like the team name change. But Terry, I think we can all get behind. Thanks. It's great.
Absolutely. And the thing I actually love about it, K-Dot, is I thought that AAV, the average annual value, was going to be higher, right? And so I think from a fan perspective, I love it because it gives us more cap room moving forward, right? For the next 3 years. It also, from Terry's perspective, means he can get paid one more time. He's going to be 29 the next time he's a free agent. And if we look at other 29-year-olds, specifically Devontae Adams, who is currently 29, what was that, 5 years, $140 million, right? Yeah. So he can get that as well, right?
It won't be with us.
If it's that kind of deal, it probably won't be, depending on how well Carson's doing with us. If Carson is absolutely killing it, then yeah, it could be with us. But knowing the history of this team, who knows what's going to happen? We'll see starting this upcoming season. But
that was the only negative for me.
What was the only negative?
I had the 3 years as a fan. I didn't like it when I first saw it. I still don't like the look of it.
Well, okay, talk to me more about that. So what is as a fan, what is your concern there with the 3 years?
He'll be gone, and I don't want Terry to ever leave me. So it's like, I think that's.
How certain are you of that?
Like, how certain were we that this deal was going to get done? How much was it wishful or hopeful thinking?
Actually, for me, not that much. I knew it was going to get done. We've talked about it. Yes.
I was faking it until I made it. Like I predicted it right? I said they were going to push up the timeline, all kind of stuff.
You did.
But I also think it was a perfect storm of nonsense happening around the team that made it happen. So it's like if the Vinny Serrato days, Jahan Dotson's your new number one. So like that's where we're at. Or you know what? In Vinny Serrato days, we're the ones signing Christian Kirk.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point.
So it's like
Jesus.
that to me is the only thing I'm looking at from a Terry perspective. Yeah, 100%. 3 years, you get out there when you're 29, about to turn 30, and you got that one more big payday. Because I know, like, I'm certain that the numbers are going to be there for him, so he'll be able to cash in. I just don't. This to me feels like it's one of those things where I don't know if Washington really wanted to do it as much as they just knew that there would be a backlash. We burn Ashburn up.
Ooh, so I'm going to disagree with you there. I'm going to say that Washington really, really wanted to get this done. Terry, being a captain, being a leader, sitting out mandatory minicamps, that's not like him in terms of the character we know of a Terry McLaurin. So I think they really wanted to get it done. They're fighting PR battles everywhere, as always. I mean, what else is new? This is a bit different with Congress involved, but they really, really wanted to get this done because, again, you want your captains, your leaders, the homegrown talent, if you will, those that you drafted to stay, right? They know the identity of the team. They feel the most attached to it, right? A free agent can come in, get paid. We've seen Albert Haynesworth. We've seen Deion Sanders. You've seen Adam Archuleta. You've seen all these guys get paid for what they did on previous teams. Right. And then come here, it's a new system. It doesn't really work, or they don't care, right? Yeah. This way, we know what we have in Terry, right? He knows the guys in the locker room. You saw that note, on Twitter where he was just so appreciative of everybody. We know what we're getting. And I think for that reason, the Commanders really wanted to get it done. Again, the average annual value, it puts him, I want to say like 6th or 7th. It's just before Stephon Diggs. Looking at Spot Rack right now. Shout out Spot Rack, great website. And just above DJ Moore. So I really, really like the deal because we can now make moves around this team. But yes, at age 29, we'll worry about it at that time. And also, here's one final point, diving a little bit deeper. Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Justin Jefferson. You see guys coming in and dominating this league. Now, the challenge to Terry is, because he's bet on himself here, he needs to continue to have elite numbers with all these new guys coming in and just running the league by storm, right? Because if he starts putting up top 30 numbers instead of top 10, well, then is he getting 5 years, 140? So there is that element of it as well, because these receivers are coming in and killing it. So there is also that element. And I just want that to be kept in mind from a fan perspective as well. It's not just Terry is Terry. Well, now he needs to live up to this new contract to get paid again, right? Because there are so many wide receivers in high school and college posting footwork videos at IG, showing how explosive they are. And then it seems to translate.
I mean, you've heard me talk about what I think the future of the wide receiver position is. And I know me and you, I think, disagree on whether it will mean monetarily going forward, but where I think that it'll be more like the running back position in the next 5 years. Here, I don't disagree with pretty much anything you said. I think what I'm self-diagnosing right now is that my cynicism as a Washington fan, because of how much hope I wanted to make this thing happen, I'm looking for the negative in it. I'm looking for the way in which I could spin this in the sense of blaming the organization for something, where it is, if you're being just honest, this has been, between this and the Jonathan Allen signing last year, are two dominoes in the direction of things are actually changing. And that to me is a good thing. The front office, those guys, we're changing the tide just a bit. You talk about the leader of our team on defense, the leader of our team on offense. Both those guys are re-signed and they're here, and we don't have to worry about it now. That's a good thing.
It's an excellent thing. And so following up on that, before we get to the Wizards, are you confident in the direction the Washington Commanders are going? Which is different from, do you like the current direction, right? Are you confident this can be sustained?
That's all contingent on if I believe that Carson Wentz is the guy, I think.
Okay.
At least that's the biggest part of it, right? Do I think Carson Wentz is an upgrade over Taylor Heineke? Yes. Do I think he's a vast upgrade over Ryan Fitzpatrick in the sense of the way that we came into this season? Not necessarily. So I think we're still moving in a direction in which we're moving in a direction which I think is more positive than negative. whether or not I actually like the direction is not going to be known to me until I see the product on the field.
That is fair.
Because even defensively, like I still have questions about the secondary. I still have questions about the linebackers. And I have questions about Jack Del Rio and his ability to coach that defensive front and to have them playing discipline. So, I mean, that's the thing is I was looking at Vegas had the line on the early line on all the games.
Right.
And I think we were only the favorites in 4 of like the first 15.
Yeah.
Which is like, okay, I guess there are a lot of people that aren't as confident as us when we're looking at the roster, right? So that to me that's going to be the litmus test. Is like right, and I know that seems like a cop out because of the show that we do and we're predicting things, but I don't know until I see what's happening with the product on the field.
Yeah, I think that's I think it's a great take, honestly, because it does. I think we have a tendency. Look, we have a weekly sports podcast. It's easy to jump the gun. And so I'm applauding your patience there to say, hey, let's see. This is brand new, right? I mean, Carson Wentz being a brand new quarterback in the system, not to his credit, he will play through 2 sprained ankles that he sprained on the same play. So I do expect him to last more than a couple series. It was very unfortunate what happened to Fitzpatrick. But the one thing we can't question about Carson, sometimes you can question accuracy, whatever, because of dropped interceptions, what have you. You cannot question the man's toughness. This man will be playing a whole lot of games for our Commanders because he does. I mean, you can tell when people genuinely love the game, that genuinely want to be out there no matter what. And I think there are a number of those guys, but Carson seems to be just on a totally different level. He'll play through anything, seemingly.
Yeah,
absolutely anything. So it's exciting to have him paired with a guy like Terry, who is used to getting his head taken off on some of these throws. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what we have. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm not confident that we are going to sustain what we have because of what you said, right? Because something always seems to go on off the field or something crazy happens on the field. RG3, it looked like we were going in the right direction. And then he tears his ACL, his MCL, his LCL, his ZCL, his XCL, like whatever they are, like, it's everything got torn. It just seems to be the fabric of the team. But for this season, I'm excited. I do think Vegas is undervaluing us, and I am biased, of course. But this is a really, really good team, in my opinion, especially like seeing the Chicago Bears favored against us. Like, come on. No, I'm sorry. I know they're at home, but it's Justin Fields' second year. You don't know what you have in him. I'm
trying to give him, I'll talk as I'm looking this up because I actually, I want to go through the list.
Yeah, let's do it.
I think the thing that we need to hold our hat on, maybe this is what Vegas is not looking at. Maybe this is not. It's hard to know where it is we are necessarily because of the fact, one thing more than anything. When's the last time that we can securely say that we had an NFL caliber quarterback?
Kirk Cousins.
That's 2017.
Well, hold on. We have Alex Smith and we had Ryan Fitzpatrick, of course, but sustained. Yeah. So, because we're Garrett Gilbert, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Taylor Heineke, Kyle Allen, Dwayne Haskins, Alex Smith, Colt McCoy, Dwayne Haskins, Case Keenum, Mark Sanchez, Colt McCoy, Josh Johnson, Alex Smith, then the Kirk Cousins back in 2017. We don't even know what it looks like to have a guy that can really play the quarterback position for a season. Yeah. Which that to me is like, and if we're looking at Alex Smith, we can count Alex Smith, but we're counting 2018 Alex Smith. So, I mean, even if we're looking at that, how many years has it been? Like, we don't even know what it looks like. Ryan Fitzpatrick was supposed to be the big litmus test last year, right? And it went away immediately. So it's like, I have no idea. And you look at this team. Wow, I'm drinking a Kool-Aid again. Well, I think I'm partially responsible for that. I have the list, by the way, if you want to quickly run through it.
Yeah, good.
Okay, so the first game, we're at home to the Jacksonville Jaguars, 3.5-point favorites, right? Mm-hmm. I think that makes sense. You don't really know what Trevor Lawrence is going to do. They will be an unknown to Las Vegas, right? It totally depends on how Trevor Lawrence is doing. If he takes an enormous step entering his second year, well, then 3.5 is a terrific line for Jacksonville where they can just straight up beat us. Yeah. I don't think it happens that soon, in my opinion. So I'm fine with that line. We go to Detroit and we are 1.5-point favorites. That seems small, right? I mean, that was a game I predicted we lose just because, again, the past performances of the team, an early game in Detroit hasn't gone particularly well. Yes, they have Jared Goff. Yes, they have a worse roster relative to us, but it's a road game in the NFL. You'd never know. But we're favorites there. 1.5 points. Do you feel that's not enough of a favorite? What do you feel about that line? 1.5.
I guess that's the thing is like the line is close there. At least really, really close. I mean,
I love watching you think.
Yeah, it's not crazy.
Okay.
I understand. I get it.
So let's zoom through these. Let's zoom through these a little bit more. Eagles 3-point favorites. We're at home. I think that's fair. I think they've got AJ Brown. They've got Devontae Smith. Jalen Hurts looked better at the end of the season. Yeah, they got blown out by Tampa in the playoffs, but they look better. Dallas 7-point favorites at home against us. Makes sense. Because we had a couple absolutely disastrous games against them last season. Titans come to town. They are 1.5-point favorites against us. That could go either way, in my opinion. I think Ryan Tannehill is starting to show a bit of inconsistency. Derrick Henry's a bit older, but he's a monster. But you would hope our D-line could do something with that. Chicago Bears, 1.5-point favorites against us. They're at home. That's the one where I go, okay, that should be more of a push, in my opinion, than the Bears are favored. Packers come to us. We are 5.5-point underdogs. I actually like us to win that game. Whenever Green Bay and Washington play, the home team seems to win. It's really weird. They've had Aaron Rodgers, the bad man himself, but like
until Aaron Rodgers got a wide receiver, I'm
there
so
you go,
low on
right?
that team right now.
Yeah, it's going to take them a little bit of time. Then we go to Indianapolis where they're 7-point favorites. Which should be fun just from the storyline perspective of Carson returning to Indy. We'll see how Indy looks with Matt Ryan at QB. Vikings come to town. They are 2-point favorites. That one I actually agree with, but that's going to be close, right? Then we go to Philly. They're 6.5-point favorites against us. Then Houston, that's a push. It's at Houston. Atlanta against us. We are 3-point favorites against Atlanta. So that's the third game in which we're favored. Commanders at New York Giants. Giants are 1-point favorites. Giants at Commanders. Now we're 3.5-point favorites. So that tells you Vegas likes us more than the Giants overall. That's our fourth game favored. And then it's the San Francisco 49ers who are favored by 9.5 points. Guarantee you they get some injuries. They always go every other year solid. So I think we win that game. That's what it looks like. I think Vegas is undervaluing us overall because and we had Ref the District on last week, and thanks again to you guys for coming. We had a lot of fun, but Stoner made the point that we played the top 6 quarterbacks in the NFL, and now you're replacing them with not the top 6 quarterbacks. In fact, it's middle of the pack, maybe even bottom third. So I do think that there is some previous performance in play here, looking at these lines, and
of course there is, right?
Right, exactly. Vegas is just trying to set a line that splits public opinion. Exactly. So long way to go here. Any final thoughts on the Commanders before we move on to the Wizards?
I want football to start, but I'm nervous as shit because I think you know what? No, never mind. I'm like, let's keep it positive. I'm feeling good.
Come on.
Terry signed. Like I'd like us to make a few more moves. I want more bodies on the team. I'm still not confident in linebacker.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anybody say anything about the Landon Collins thing. It doesn't look promising. So
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's probably not happening. So I mean, offense, I'm pretty set. I'm excited to see the offense, but the defense, I'm still a little nervous about.
Fair enough. And we'll see how it plays out in 70-something days, like you said. So let's move on to the Washington Wizards, who made one of the biggest splashes of free agency, which was simply retaining talent. In this case, Bradley Beal, who signed a 5-year, it was either 248 or 251. I've seen a couple different reports there. $1 million deal. So congratulations to Bradley Beal. But the question, K-Dot, is not whether Bradley Beal's worth it or not. Okay. He's done a lot for this franchise. And I think, again, shout out Stoner for the take, that, hey, you want to be able to keep your guys and hopefully build around it. Our issue has been getting free agents to come here because typically it's been through trade, right? Or draft. It's going to be John Wall who's drafted. Then it's Russell Westbrook via trade. He leaves after a season. Then we get Porzingis. What's the plan here though? Right? I mean, because there is in Bradley Beal, you have a top 20, 25 player, in my opinion. We just got the largest contract in NBA history until Jokic got his, and the cap will go up and stuff like that. I understand. So it'll correct itself. And I just don't know what we are doing considering we can't attract free agents. What, like, elite, right? Durant wants a trade. And like first thing we all know is that, well, he definitely doesn't want to come here. If Durant could come out with a list of places he didn't want to go, it would be one team and it would be us. And that's just the way it is for some reason, despite him loving the DMV area. So K-Dot, what's the plan?
He loves the DMV area, but he likes to get the fuck out of the DMV area as soon as possible. I think there's just a trust factor with it, which I get. I mean, you come from a certain area, you start getting people all around you to want shit. You become a target. I get it to a certain degree. What's the plan?
What's the plan? Are we going for it? Are we
going for it?
I think we are, right? I mean, like, you have to lean that way when you're paying Bradley Beal that much, right?
There's so much I want to unpack. There's just
got nothing but time.
The whole Bradley Beal is worth it thing. I'm pausing on that. It's not. Hold on, Eric. Is he a $50 million a year player? No, he's not. That's not his fault, though.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Just to be clear.
Yeah.
Just to be clear.
Right.
That's what I mean.
He deserves the money, everything he did, but it's not his fault that he deserves this that he's getting this contract. We like, it's one of those weird things. It's like everybody can look around and be like, yeah, that guy's not worth $50 million. But we can totally understand why the deal is being done.
Right.
And that's cool. Right now, I think what the Wizards are doing and it was what we were talking about when Ref the District was on. Do you need to blow it up in order to try to find the next big thing? I think is where you're kind of at right now with it. And not necessarily, but it's a lot harder to find the next big thing if you don't blow it up, right? So, but there's another aspect of this, which is something that in all honesty, and maybe I'm drinking the Wizards Kool-Aid, which, I mean, there should be no Kool-Aid that the Wizards offer at all, but we haven't really seen the Beal Kristaps team.
Mm-hmm. I'm listening.
And I want to. And with the trade they just made for, I don't know if we're going to talk about, but like Monte Morris.
We are. Monte Morris, Will Barton for KCP and Ish Smith. Please continue.
So it's like,
signed DeLon Wright.
Is it a starting five that scares anyone on paper? No. Am I interested to see how it looks? Yeah. Because I mean, look, if Bradley Beal plays at the peak that he's ever played in his career,
mm-hmm.
if Kristaps Porzingis plays at the peak he's ever played in his career, where do you think we're at?
Well, if they're both at their peak, then 5. Like, I do think that they're 5 seed. I do think that we can be really good. The thing is, Porzingis has not proven he could stay on the floor.
That's the biggest thing with him.
Bradley Beal at the end of games, I still don't have a whole lot of faith in. Right. I feel like there are moments where we'll be watching a game and he misses a free throw with like 25 seconds left out of nowhere, despite how good and talented he is.
There's no killer instinct from this team.
Right. And so I do applaud the organization for signing DeLon Wright so that he can't kill us anymore every single time he sees us. So that's kind of nice. But yeah, I don't know who that finisher on the team was. For a little while there, it was Spencer Dinwiddie, who, when Beal was out at the very, very early part of the season, he was like, I'm that dude. It was fun. It was good.
And then clear that he wasn't that dude.
And then he was not that dude. Right. So we don't, as far as I can tell, have that guy that can, heck, maybe it's Kuz. Kuz has actually hit a couple clutch shots.
I like Kuz.
I do too.
We got one more year, Kuz. Maybe half a year, Kuz. Where he's young.
and so that's where the question of what's the plan comes in, right? Because Kuzma inflated his value to a point where I think we could have gotten something on draft day. But you chose to keep him. And so what do you do with him? He's still a valuable piece, but I don't know that we're going to get enough to make it worth even trading him at that point. Right. So I don't know what Tommy's plan is with Kyle Kuzma. Granted, Tommy Shepard has been dealt a horrible hand by his predecessor in Ernie Grunfeld. So
He's done a hell of a job. I got to give credit for it.
I agree, because I think Wizards GM was one of the worst jobs you could take, right? I mean, we had John Wall in the contract and he wasn't playing because he was hurt. You had this Bradley Beal decision to make, and just the Jan Mahimi deal. Like, there was any number of things going against this organization, and he's managed to maneuver it in such a way that we are in a somewhat presentable situation now where we can go, maybe we can do something. I think the Bradley Beal deal, I hesitate a little bit to say had to happen, but from a probability standpoint, I think it needed to occur, right? I think it just needed to, because we have not shown an ability to attract elite level free agents, right? So we may as well keep the guy that has the highest ceiling and has produced for this organization, at least in round 1 of the playoffs and sometimes in the round 2 stage. Like, I think you have to keep that guy and hope that at some point there is another guy that's willing to pair up with Beal and we go from there. That's my perspective, because I don't think, and it takes balls, if we had let him go, maybe we land a top pick, maybe, but that's still a crapshoot too.
And that's my thing about the NBA draft, is like, unless you know there's a guy who's like one of those game changers, so like the Zions that come in through the league, right? And even with Zion, I mean, motherfucker's got to stay on the court. So like,
there you go.
I don't know. It's just one of those things where, like, the one thing I wish I want to see from the Wizards is developing these guys to being, at least developing all draft talent to be at least quality coming off the bench or inside your starting rotation. Like, we got to start building that up. And that's kind of like the team building process. But I don't know, man. Like, I look across the league and I'm like, I think we're just hoping for a Giannis. Like, if we're being completely honest, like, that's where I just think we're kind of at. And okay. So it's just, when you're that, like you said, if you're going to be middle of the pack, it's going to be a lot harder to get there. And that's the thing that we've been, is that because we have not been outright bad. We've just been mediocre for 20 years. And the thing is that, like, the mediocrity of 20 years, I mean, and I know we've had moments, the Agent Zero moments, John Wall early moments, but overall, if you're looking at our organization as far as like what it is that what it is that our brand is, you'd be surprised to know that we're the media market that we are. It feels like we're a Denver or a Utah, just some boring ass, pedantic, mediocre organization. And we're not, we shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm starting to get with, look, I give Tommy Shepard a lot of credit. If we're looking at where this team was, even when we started doing Dish Divided with all the rest of the guys, when we were looking at the Wall contract and everything at the very beginning, it was like, how the fuck do you get out of this? We're out of it.
Yeah.
And that is huge.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The way that Tommy managed to get out of that was terrific, right? I mean, the Russ trade, I remember I think we all agreed we weren't particularly excited about it. Like, Westbrook himself is one of the most dynamic players in the league. Fair enough. And I can understand it, because he's one of the most dynamic players in the league. I think there was a certain look, round 1, pick 1, John Wall for the Washington Wizards, the emotions he showed for the team. It was a very tough emotional trade for the squad, right? Including a first round pick that we may not have next year. But then to flip that for manageable contracts, right, with the LA Lakers, then all of a sudden we're seeing some daylight for the first time in a long time. It was the light at the end of the tunnel, and maybe it's not a freight train, maybe. And we'll see what happens here. It's still a tough spot, but it is, if you were to ask me 3 years ago, right, what kind of spot we're in, and now what kind of spot we're in, I think we're in a better one now than we were 3 years ago. So we are going in the right direction. I trust Tommy Shepard personally, because he hasn't made any boneheaded moves. And if there were ever a suggestion of one, he'll just move him on very quickly. So we'll see what happens. I have faith in Tommy, and I think that's the most important thing for me. I know not every Wizards fan feels that way, but I'm okay with the deal. I know it is a lot of money for a Bradley Beal, but I think for the amount he's done for the franchise, for the amount he will continue to do for the franchise, I honestly think it's it's fine. And it would have taken a lot of stones to let him walk. And I don't think it was something the organization was willing to do. Simple as that.
Yeah, no, we are in a better position than we were 3 years ago. And I trust Tommy Shepard because his name's not Ernie Grunfeld.
Simple as that. Simple as that. Any final thoughts on the Wizards? Any quick thoughts on the trade, on any signings, anything like that?
I like the Monty Morris deal. You get a starting caliber point guard that plays defense in a team that's defense first. That to me, all right, it's a good fit. I want to see what this team looks like just with everybody here and healthy on the court. I'm just excited to watch them play. Like, that's the thing is, like, I know that we're not necessarily right here in this particular sense, like building towards anything in particular, but this could be a team that I'm at least excited to watch every once in a while. It's a fun group.
It's a fun group. And should we hit the ground running, there's a lot of excitement in this town for a good basketball team. So, and
we are one of the best basketball towns in the country.
Oh yeah.
Which is what makes the Wizards such a travesty.
I know. And thankfully the Mystics are good. And as the women's game continues to grow as well, at least maybe that could be the outlet for a lot of people. But yeah, we would also love a great men's basketball team. So we'll see what happens, but cautiously optimistic is sort of my take on this whole thing. All right. Well, let's move on to the comment mailbag. All right. So we haven't done this because last week we had Ref the District on. We were having such a great time, etc. We didn't really get the chance to do this. So we've got a couple videos that we had, including the Ref the District one that we need to get through. So Blood Clot, who I believe has commented before. You guys are so good. Keep it up. Thank you, Blood Clot. Appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and love that. Really appreciate it. And then Tony. I mean, classic Tony, right? Tony. I agree. Love the content. Tony, we love you, bud. Please continue watching. And thank you so much for ratting with us over here at District Divided. And then we're going to jump over to Tony again. And this time we're on the Ref the District video. You guys are one of my favorite Commanders shows. I actually cried reading that. I loved it. K-Dot's rants and history drops are epic. Shout out to you too, Amit. You pace the show well and give great insight. Yeah, I got a you too. Hey, listen, still cried. All right. Nice collab with Ref the District. Love those guys too. Tony. And then we got Silly Goose. And this is in reference to the prompt. Is Carson Wentz a top 16 quarterback? Top 16? LMAO. WTF is a top 16. The only thing that should ever matter to anyone is, hey, can I win it all with whomever it is we're talking about? If they are a top 16 or a top 14 or a top 10 means nothing. And to an extent, I actually agree with that, right? Like, you do want that elite, top 3, top 5, whatever it may be, QB. So what are we talking about there? Simply, did we improve, right? Because Taylor Heineke wasn't even a top half. We talked about Garrett Gilbert. We talked about 2020 Alex Smith. I mean, I think the prompt came more from optimism and what is Carson Wentz's ceiling. K-Dot, your thoughts there?
I have to be nice to everybody.
Hey, no. No, you don't. No, you don't. I'll be good cop. You go ahead and say what you want to do.
Top 16 means, are you in the upper half of the league compared to the lower half of the league?
Can you make the playoffs?
That's what top 16 means. There's 32 teams, 32 quarterbacks, depending on that. So that's what that means, Silly Goose. Also, Silly Goose, just a personal question. How the fuck do you figure out where it is you're going to use capitalization and not? There's some randomness that's happening here. I don't quite understand what the fuck is going on. But whatever, I digress. Look, we're doing a sports podcast. It is July 1st. You got to come up with shit that we can talk about. Like, if you've got some topics here that get us through the summer for Commanders podcast that you are searching out for because you need your Commanders content, the fuck do you want us to do? There's shit we got to figure out and come up with to talk about. What are you going to talk about? The same thing? Do you think Carson wants to do it? I don't know, guy. I don't know. Next week. Tune in next week to hear the same shit. Come on, man.
For the record, we did love the comment from Silly Goose officially. Now,
I love the comment, Silly Goose. You're just being a silly goose.
You're being a silly goose. All right. Next comment, JJ18057. 18057. Wondering what that's about. Anyway, got the facepalm. Dotson was not falling into the second. This is in reference to Trev's comment. And did dude really say Terry isn't a true number one? Bruh, you are delusional. I 1,000% agree on that. Terry is a true number one. But I absolutely love Trev just going there. It was fun. It was fun. I don't think, although I want to say so Dotson was not falling into the second. I think he misspoke when he said day 2 pick. And I think it was much more, maybe he would have fallen to the second round, but I agree with JJ 18057. Jahan Dotson was not going to fall to the second round.
I remember feeling during draft day that there was a chance that he was going to fall, but because of how things kind of lined up, it seemed like we were higher on Dotson than almost any other team was. And I look back on that and I say, that's great, because I think it's panning out and I like the pick, but it definitely felt like in that moment, I know it's a risk. I doubt, if I'm really looking back at it, that he would have fallen to the second round.
Green Bay liked him. Green Bay liked him.
Right.
Brendan liked him.
Yeah, so that was the thing. So like looking at that part of it, I'm like, but I remember immediately thinking that, oh, well, there were some other guys, because you remember we had some guys that we liked on our boards. So I don't know. I'm not gonna. But the whole Terry is not a number one. You're right. Trevor was fucking delusional.
And we will continue on that path with Blood Clot, who's back with this comment. Trevor is out of his effing mind if he thinks Terry is a number 2 receiver on another team. He's playing like a number 1 receiver without anyone good throwing it to him. And this is with the entire secondary expecting it. Love everyone else in the panel. We're going to go ahead and love that comment. Thank you very much, Blood Clot. As always, please continue rocking with us. I accidentally turned off my video. It is now back. All right, cool. So next one, Joe Taylor. Potential is the story of Mr. Wentz's career. Success, not so much. Kadeen W. I'm not being funny in any way. I'm just wondering if you checked out this vid on YouTube, the ups and downs of Carson Wentz, NFL Week 18 Indianapolis Colts film study by Kurt Warner, Hall of Famer. My feeling is Wentz's inability to read the Jags defense was a major factor in Week 18. I'm only asking because you said you went back and watched his Colts games. Thanks. Go ahead, K-Dot.
I did, after reading this comment, I did go back and watch Kurt Warner plug his fucking movie I'm never going to watch for 15 minutes before he got in the wearing a fucking t-shirt. I'm not going to watch Shazam play a fucking football play. I'm sorry. All right, whatever. All right, I did watch it, and look, I'm an idiot sitting in an apartment talking about sports. I'm nowhere on the level of Kurt Warner. I will say that as I was watching the Kurt Warner stuff, yes, 100%. I have downplayed it a little bit as far as Carson Wentz's involvement in the loss there that they had it. But like Amit said when I was talking about it, what was his QBR that game?
It was a 4.3, which is an excellent high school GPA.
Right. So look, of course, there were certain aspects of, especially if you're looking in the game flow, that Carson Wentz was trying to do too much. It's the same criticism I have for Patrick Mahomes. I'm not truly comparing Carson Wentz to Patrick Mahomes. Calm down. But what I was complaining about with Patrick Mahomes, especially early on last year, or even Saquon Barkley or Antonio Gibson, the guys that won't take what the defense gives them, they're always looking for the home run every single time. And I will give you that. Carson Wentz was pressing a little bit too much in that game. But there were a few plays where I was looking at what Kurt Warner was pointing out, and like, maybe I don't know the quarterback position the way that I need to, because I was outright disagreeing with Kurt on some of his, on some of what he was saying, or where he said that the throw needed to be made, but looking at where it is the pass rush was for him, I'm looking at that and being like, holy shit, I only know one or two guys that could have even pulled that off a lot of times. And or like fit the ball into this window right here, right now. And I'm looking around the league and I'm like, give me Brady on a good day makes that throw, Rodgers, Mahomes, maybe Josh Allen, but that's about it. And I'm not comparing Carson Wentz to those guys.
That's fair. I think it's one of those things where when you're playing a Jacksonville Jaguars team where the fans are dressing up like clowns and they end up winning their final game of the season and still have the number 1 overall pick, your quarterback, if they're top 16, going back to the silly goose comment, right, should be able to win that game no matter what. It's one of those things, right?
That's fair. I can't.
So I understand it being like
flow is trash.
Sure. But if your quarterback is going to be that dude or even top half, that shouldn't come into play in the very last week of the season with playoffs on the line, right? I mean, so I think that's certainly where I was coming from, where it was like, look, I don't care what excuses you throw. If you're supposed to be a playoff team and you just had to win one of your last 2 games, one of which was at home, and then you have a road game against the worst team in the NFL, you got to find a way. It's as simple as that. I think sometimes it's just do it. You get away from the X's and O's. You get away from but the game flow. You just got to do it. Like some teams are just that bad.
Yeah, I mean, I can't necessarily. I mean, anything. If I were to combat that and saying anything, it sounds like an excuse. In all honesty, yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I would just, I
understand where you're coming from. Yeah,
I was watching the game and I'm looking at the way the game was flowing. It didn't feel like they were really putting it in his hands as much as the Jonathan Taylor thing just wasn't working. The running game just wasn't working.
Well, I think there's always going to be a dose of healthy skepticism when your MVP candidate is the running back instead of the quarterback. That's where the offense
the way it should
definitely. Well, we can get into old school talk as much as you'd like to, K. But we'll move on to the next comment. The final comment. This comes from Bronze Feet. By the way, thank you all for commenting. We really appreciate it. Please keep them coming. We absolutely love interacting with you guys. Bronze Feet writes, Trevor must be young because I doubt if he remembers Doug Williams when he was in Tampa and had an arm, but the team stunk. Well, that's how I see Carson. Okay. So he is going, hey, Doug Williams was on that Tampa Bay team, wasn't good. He sees Carson Wentz the same way. Doug Williams, as many of you know, led us to a Super Bowl. K-Dot, what are your thoughts there?
I don't know what Bronze is trying to say.
It admittedly took me a little bit as well. But
Bronze, love the comment, but we appreciate engagement. Hopefully you engage with us more. I don't necessarily understand what it is. Like, if you're saying that Carson Wentz was better than the teams he was on, or the team sucked, like the Indianapolis team, we just talked about how they blew it against Jacksonville there at the end. I don't think Indianapolis sucked. No. And then if we're looking at the Philly teams that he played on, I mean, dude got hurt and they won a Super Bowl. So it's like
he was having an MVP season.
He was having an MVP season, and I guess he's never gotten back to that particular level, except for maybe some people would say early on last year.
Well, because they proceeded to build a statue of his backup because he won the Super Bowl over there. That's got to do something to your psyche after you had a near MVP season. People were like, oh, maybe we should keep Foles instead. Like there was a lot that went on there. It's a very unique circumstance, just to be clear.
But yeah, I mean, I just don't get necessarily the comparison to Carson and Doug, unless we're saying they both have a cannon for an arm. Okay.
I would like to shout out Bronze Feet though, because he did reply to Raza, I don't know, clearly a bot who wrote, and it says the comment mailbag. So we respect all comments here. Hi, Anna. I am Nagender Anna na age 42 Gondis uno qualification MLT medical lab tech nurse government jobs. To which Bronze Feet had our back. I'm gonna go ahead and love this. Read this. You people obviously can't read. This is a sports podcast, not a soap opera. Thank you, Bronze Feet. Thank you for having our back in the face of these bots. Appreciate it. Okay, Dot, show your appreciation.
Bronze, what the fuck are you trying to say?
Come on. Bronze had her back. Bronze had her back.
Was he?
Yes.
I get a tone in that, but I understand what's being said. Do we understand what the other person was saying?
I'd have Bronze on the podcast for that.
Not a soap opera?
It's not a soap opera.
What does the comment have to do with a soap opera?
You're overthinking it. You're doing that thing again.
Thinking? I just think I'm thinking. I don't think I'm overthinking it. I just think I'm thinking.
And you know what? And on that note, this was District Divided, a DC sports podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. I am Amit. That is K-Dot. We come out with episodes weekly, Fridays at 2 p.m. Feel free to follow us on Twitter as well at District Divided, and keep the comments coming. Once again, if there's anything you disagreed with, if there's anything you agreed with, we want to hear from you. Please keep doing that. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. I think that is the first time I've said that in maybe a year. I was thinking about that. We were plugging Rep the District more than we plugged ourselves. I was like, wait a minute, maybe we should also say these things, and we'll see what happens there. But thank you guys again for listening, and we will see you next week. Until then, take it easy.
The Boys, the best show on TV.
We can go ahead and talk about that now because we are in the after the pod segment, K-Dot. So The Boys,
it's not the best show on TV. I take it back already. It is the most fun show on television. It is the wildest show on television.
So talk to me about it. What makes it the wildest show?
I don't want to spoil it. I really don't want to spoil anything.
Okay, fine. Let's move on. How'd you come up with K-Dot?
I didn't come up with K-Dot.
Who came up with K-Dot?
The guys on ASOS came up with K-Dot. So I don't hate K-Dot. I will go with nicknames that other people get. I like organic nicknames, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But it's also Kendrick Lamar's nickname. So it's not necessarily something, but it was Mauricio who used to do the ASOS pod with us. He's the one that convinced me to start doing it with them. Okay. Ryan and them, they just started calling me K-Dot because my hair was kind of crazy back then, crazier than it is right now. Mm-hmm. And they said I look like J. Cole. Okay. They had like these 3 artists. I forget what it was, but it was just K-Dot just kind of stuck. My name's Kadeem. It's K. Dot. And I don't know. And it just stuck. So now all of a sudden, like my podcast alter ego is K-Dot. But then like we did a podcast that's supposed to come out. Well, it's supposed to come out, but I think I'm gonna drop it probably today or early next week. We have a podcast where we're actually talking about Kendrick Lamar. Okay. So every once in a while, K-Dot is being said, and I don't know if they're talking about me or Kendrick Lamar, which I should never be in the same sentence with Kendrick Lamar.
What makes you say that?
Because he's Kendrick Lamar.
That's fair. All right, moving on. That's fair. Did you hear his latest album?
Yeah, that was we reviewed it.
Okay. And so that's going to drop either later today or
maybe, I don't know. We've got a bunch of episodes. It's kind of like backlogged, and there was an episode that I did not want to do that I was able. The guy, one of the guys on the ASOS podcast, James, went to a Bridgerton brunch. Yeah. So we heard about this. We're like, what? So we wanted photos. So the only way that he was willing to give his photos was if I watched a Lionel. Is it Lionel or Lionel Messi?
Lionel
Messi, and react to it.
Okay.
That number's constantly doing better numbers, and it's got us the most comments we've ever got on a video in like a year, which I knew was going to happen. So now I'm being forced to do more of them.
Wait, hold on. What were your comments on Messi? What'd you say?
I don't know anything about soccer other than Ted Lasso.
Okay, but what'd you say?
I'm watching him. Like, there were certain things that I was like, oh wow, that was kind of impressive. I think the thing that I remember where I think was his relentlessness and his balance is insane. So it was like, regardless of whatever contact he was getting, which also a lot more contact than I expected to see in soccer. Watched as highlights for him.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, it's the most popular sport in the world. And Lionel Messi's the best player.
McDonald's and Subway are popular.
No, but not like, well.
Doesn't mean quality.
Totally different.
So that the one thing, so there's like, I don't even
know where to begin with that comment. Go ahead.
His balance was something that I never like. It was thoroughly impressive. Seeing him kind of pirouette and just be able to keep trucking was legit. Yeah. I made some comparisons that I kind of feel I'd like to take back.
By all means, do so. So what comparison is? What is the one comparison you made that you're like?
I said Barry Sanders, and it was stupid. So the I don't want to compare any soccer player to Barry Sanders. I know you don't. I do. But it was the kind of thing where it's like Barry would get hit and like land or plant and be able to keep moving. Mm-hmm. You see that a lot with him. Now the context's a lot different. Barry Sanders would get mollywop, but it's like he would just keep going. But the biggest takeaway that I have, and it's every time I watch soccer, look, I'm half Jamaican. I've seen the Reggae Boys play in person. I've been a lot of soccer. It's not my favorite. Sure. Even though Ted Lasso, another season comes Ted Lasso, I'll be playing FIFA again. I promise.
Great show. But
I think the thing for me was that the commentators in soccer are so much better than anything we have in American sports.
They are phenomenal.
Even your run-of-the-mill guys.
Yeah.
And I got to talk to what's the guy's name? Arlo White.
Oh, when did you talk to him? That's awesome.
2-3 months ago. They were doing something, and I didn't know how big a deal it was, so I had to reach out to the guys on ASOS. Like, who is this guy? Like, you just spoke to the voice of soccer, the voice of
the voice of NBC Sports. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I think I saw him in the Ted Lasso episode. Like, yeah,
you did. So I love that. That's how you know him. Oh yeah, one of the guys from Ted Lasso. I spoke to. His name's Arlo White. He's pretty cool.
It's like what? I was like, yeah, he bigged us up because we were doing a Manchester United thing at the bar.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, it's fine. But now it's like a bunch of there's a bunch of new videos that now they want me to watch, which once again, I knew people love soccer is the world's most popular sport.
Mm-hmm.
People love seeing dumb Americans react to soccer.
Sure.
It's a natural thing. Reaction videos are the number one thing on YouTube now. So people like seeing it. And seeing my dumb American ass talking about Messi is, I guess, a popular thing. So I knew that it was going to be more. And then we got a bunch of recommendations. And now for the betterment of the pod, I have to sit and watch a bunch of fucking soccer I don't want to watch and react to it.
Well, I think the reason it's popular is because you find something that you yourself appreciate and are fascinated by at a deep level, and you watch someone else see it for the first time, and that can be exciting because you want them to share it, right? Or if they don't, then you blast them for it. And I think that's just a very, very fun thing within human nature, I suppose, because I'm trying to think about why would reaction videos be so popular? And it's often, do you share the same excitement I do? I want to see it, right? I think that's oftentimes what it could be. And other times it's going to be, this person has no clue and I can't wait to just destroy them in the comments or, with a video or something like that. That tends to be what it is.
I think that
there's a polarizing nature to it.
It's weird. It's just, it's kind of fucking weird to me, but I get it. Cause I mean, I watch reaction. I do watch some reaction videos. I do.
Everyone does. Everyone does. I don't watch them that often, but like I notice that sometimes I'll be like, oh yeah, I want to see what they think of Lionel Messi.
One thing I can't get into is gaming videos, live streaming gaming.
It's not for me either.
I just remember being a kid and like, I want the controller.
Right.
Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm not, why am I sitting here like I'm the little brother while you guys are playing shit? Like, I want to play. Or you gotta turn two players on. Like,
I think some of them have legitimately funny commentary while they're playing. So for that, I would watch.
I need some recommendations then, because I'd like to understand.
Shit, so do I.
I'd like to understand it more, because I know a lot of people making mad bread off of gaming channels. So it's like,
what that triggered in my memory was a friend of mine, Samir from college. He introduced me to, gosh, was it like T90 official or P90 official? I can't remember his name, but he's playing Age of Empires, like Age of Empires 2.
Okay.
And sometimes he's playing and he's commentating on what he's doing. And other times he's watching two sort of noobs play each other. And it is actually one of the funniest things I've ever seen, where he's like, oh, and that is going to be the fourth dock right next to each other. A massive strategy pull from and it's great. And he's like looking around and he's like, this person doesn't know what they're doing. And then 20 minutes into the video, he's like, oh, I didn't even realize that's what he was doing. That was brilliant. And like all of a sudden he's just commenting. It is hilarious. It's genuinely funny. I didn't think I would like it, but because he's funny, I enjoyed it. And I watched it a couple.
I give myself credit. Me and my girlfriend were talking about this the other day, is that I'm not an old fuddy-duddy. I'm not that guy, right? I'm not I'm not the dude that'll always say like my generation's this, that, and the other was better. I just don't understand these kids. It's not the way music is probably the thing that I'm most like open to listening what kids do, because I want to hear what young people are thinking about and how they're.
And it's constantly evolving.
That to me is the thing. Is like when we were young, we listened, and there was always bullshit nonsense, regardless of whatever it is. Look, coming through height, when Chingy's Right There was number one on the charts.
Yo, I fucking loved that song.
Well, you're a fucking idiot. So they
listen, that was so catchy. Are you kidding me?
It's a bad song.
It was also I think it was on NBA Live.
No, it's a bad fucking song. I didn't mean to call you an idiot. It's just everybody's an idiot.
No, it's fine. No, listen, it's after the pod. It's out of bounds, buddy. Let's go.
No, there's always been shit music. There's always been shit music. There's always been shit movies. There's always been all that stuff. And I think the thing that we have to do is like separate nostalgia compared to greatness, which I think a lot of people have this fucked up nature doing. Like, look, there's a lot of cartoons or TV shows or even music from DC. I remember. Do you remember Tabby Bonet?
No.
There's a rapper called Tabby Bonet.
Never even heard of.
In like 06, 05, 06, in DC, it was like, who's gonna be the star? Tabby Bonet or Wale? And everybody kind of picked the camp.
Oh.
And Tabby Bonet had this song called The Pocket. She put you in the pocket.
I've never heard this.
That's fair enough. We can see what happened to Tavi Bonet compared to Wale.
Tavi Bonet.
But it's always it's shit that happens. I mean, but the only thing is that I think nowadays there's just population has increased and there's more access for people to do all kinds of shit. So there's more better shit, I think, now than ever before, but there's also more bad shit than there is now than ever before.
I see. Just in terms of volume, you're going to get more volume. Of both. Yeah.
And the thing is that you just have to know where to look. But the thing was like the YouTube, like I started realizing how many hours I spent on YouTube. There's certain trends I just don't quite get. Mukbangs.
Oh yeah.
Those are they're disgusting as shit to me. And I say that as a fat man. Like I don't understand. And people do ASMR mukbangs. I want to hear you chomping on fucking Big Mac into a microphone. Why?
Dude, there are certain things we simply can't explain.
They're
in
really
this world.
popular.
And that's why
I don't get it. I don't understand. It's revolting to me. But the same thing, Twitch streaming. I every once in a while there's somebody with I think I watched Sasha Grey do one. And Sasha Grey, amazing as far as your career. But she has a Twitch. I have one because I find her funny. But I haven't found a lot of those guys funny. At least even the guys that I do find funny when they're playing the games, I don't find them quite as funny.
All right. Well, anyway, speaking of things we can't explain, the Supreme Court. I'm just kidding. We're not going there. I think I probably got a roll here now. But next week, I'm particularly excited about the episode because I think I need to double check with him. I think we're going to have my buddy Nelson on, and we're going to have a Kirk Cousins debate. And
I might not be able to do the pod next week.
Oh, well, then I'm just going to go one-on-one with this fool. And it should be a good one because I am very much anti Kirk Cousins, and he is a Minnesota Vikings fan, and he is pretty big into Kirk Cousins. So we are going to go back and forth on Kirk Cousins as an NFL quarterback.
Look, I'm not anti Kirk Cousins at all. I do find it weird that anyone's pro Kirk Cousins. You can be. That's
what I'm saying.
Kirk Cousins exists. I'm rooting for him because he's my quarterback.
Yeah.
Anyone really going out of their way to say I'm a Kirk Cousins guy, something's wrong with you.
Hey, Nelson's a big fan of yours, by the way. So just
all right, Nelson, I love you, bro. But I'm just saying, unless it's like I like his all-American, good-natured, dynamic. We're just gonna try our darndest. Maybe there's a little part of that that's like. I look back at the Kirk Cousins days and being like, if we had just paid the man what he wanted and started building around it without the uncertainty of it every fucking year.
Yeah.
I think Kirk Cousins can be something. I really do. I think Kirk Cousins is that amount of production at the quarterback position does not come easy, period. And
sure.
I think that but I think there's always been those kind of guys that kind of been around the league that was like, I appreciate them for what it is they do. That's just, they don't have the clutch gene. Like Aaron Rodgers.
I'm laughing at that because recently that has been. Anyway, I will give you guys my Kirk Cousins take next week, including all the facts, all the scholarly articles, the footnotes, you name it. You're going to get all of it because despite the QB list we mentioned and how we've been in this QB purgatory for some time, I'm still glad we let the man go. And we are going to go ahead and talk about that next week. But until then, got to go, K-Dot. Have a great weekend. And you may need to carry the episode the Friday after because I'm going to be out of town. So you can get a guest. You can do whatever you want.
I would totally do that.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Yeah, I would look forward to it. I'd be like, when's District Divided dropping?
That could actually be fun. That could be fun.
That could be a lot of fun. I need to give you access to the YouTube so that you can upload it and stuff. But
wow.
Well, all right, brother. You got it.
All right, man.
Talk to you later.
See you.